So if you're looking for a 1500 or 1600 on the SAT, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to give you the basic framework, the study plan to get you to that goal. Now you can download this sheet that I'm working off here in the description, the link below. So go ahead and check that out. It's going to be the SAT study guide for 1500 and 1600. And basically the prescription for this 1500 to 1600 is basically you need the basics, right? You need to know the basic content. You need some basic reading skills, some basic vocab, and some expertise in the SAT itself, so knowing what the test is. I don't talk much about the essay in the study guide because it's not super important. Anyone shooting for about a 500 on each section is not really going to be missing that mark primarily because of an essay. So I don't really worry about it. Worry about the other grammar questions. In general, the main rule of thumb for all of you looking for this score goal is to focus primarily on the easies and mediums. The hards are pretty much irrelevant. Now, this applies mostly to the math and the sentence completions and into the grammar, but in general, it applies throughout the entire test, even the critical reading to a certain extent. Focus on the easies and the mediums. That's where the points are. That's all you really need to get your goal. These percentiles tell you approximately how many or basically what this score beats, how many students this score beats. So a 1500 is better than about 51% of the test-taking population, and a 1600 is better than about 63%, almost two-thirds. So 1600 may not sound like much, but actually it's quite an above-average score. In this table, I basically give you some info as to the breakdown of the scores and what you're looking at. So for the math, the reading, and the writing, you're going to want to target these sub-scores. These are the percentiles for the different subscores. So for instance, for the math, a 500 is about a 45th percentile, whereas a 550 is a 62nd percentile. Notice the reading and the writing, they're higher. So generally, as you can see, the reading and writing have lower scores overall because these scores are better than 67% of the population, whereas these are 62%. Here are your raw points. Again, these raw points and max wrong are just estimates. I've just got them from looking at multiple tests. So use these as guidelines. Don't use them as completely gospel. Remember, for the math, it's at a 54. For the reading, it's at a 67. And for the writing, it's at a 49. Max wrong, again, just a breakdown, but this is about the maximum you can get wrong and still hit your score goals. And for how many you can omit, again, for the math, you want to pretty much avoid most of the hards and even some of the mediums. That should be enough to get you your score. For the critical reading, avoid some or omit some, especially medium and hard sentence completions. And for the writing, you still want to omit few here because it's pretty easy to guess. And in the videos, I'll explain why that's the case. Before you begin, download these resources. I will have a link also below in the description to where you can find these resources. It's on the same page as the study guide. And make sure you also have a copy of the study guide before the College Board. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this in detail. You can read this. I'm just going to highlight some important points. First, make sure you take the diagnostic test. It gives you an idea of where you're at. We're going to use the SAT crash course as your foundation for the math, reading, and the writing because that's going to give you the bulk of what you need. But if you need to supplement it, then you're going to go into the math bootcamp and math tactics videos. And the key is to be continuing working through the videos and the practice sections, focusing especially on the top 10 topics because that is what's going to get you your 500. So those top 10 topics, number 1 is algebra, number 2 is functions, things like that. That will get you your score. Critical reading is a bit tougher because there's no diagnostic, but basically you're going to want to start studying the level 1 and level 2 vocab, work on the crash course, do a little bit of work with the critical reading bootcamp on the passage-based reading videos. Basically, sentence completions are not as important here. You can pretty much ignore them for the most part and still hit your score. So focus primarily on the reading. You need that basic reading skills down to get your 500 or your 600 in the reading section. And then finally, for the writing, you're going to take the diagnostic test, use the crash course videos, and supplement with the bootcamp and the grammar tactics series if necessary. Pretty much similar to the math. In general, you'll just want to do a practice essay, and if you're a member, you can send it to me and I'll grade it for you. If you can hit a 6 to 8 consistently, don't worry about the essay for this score level. If you can't, then you might want to work on it a bit by using the SAT Essay Bootcamp. And if you're consistently hitting the score of 1500 or 1600, maybe you might consider moving up to the next level. And there's a separate study guide for that you might want to check out. All right, if you have any questions, let me know either in the comments of the YouTube page or on the comments of the page on my website that's linked in the description, and I will talk to you soon.